I'm Damon Fairless. So, the Super Bowl is this Sunday, and the teams on the field are no surprise. The Kansas City Chiefs have now played in 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls, and the game's a rematch too. The Chiefs played the San Francisco 49ers back in 2020. What is a little surprising is that the off-field mania surrounding Taylor Swift dating a Chiefs player has gotten deeply, deeply weird.
Well, around 4 years ago, the Pentagon's Psychological Operations Unit floated turning Taylor Swift into an asset during a NATO meeting.
This is what I think is going to happen. There's going to be like some type of proposal after the Super Bowl is rigged for the Chiefs. And then the two of these people reach like crazy levels of absolute fame.
It's a coordinated marketing campaign by Democrats to leverage celebrities to excite their base into coming out and voting.
This is how right-wing outlets like Fox News and OAN, the One American News Network, have been stirring up conspiracy theories that Swift and Kelce's relationship is a deep state psyop. And as the Super Bowl approaches, it's morphed into a sort of singularity-level conspiracy, pulling in everything. Vaccines, light beer, billionaire investor George Soros, and of course, President Joe Biden. It's a lot. So I've got Drew McGarry with me today, and we're going to talk about all this, and maybe even football. Drew's an author and a columnist with Defector and SFGate. He writes a lot about football, and he's one of the hosts of Defector's Distraction podcast. Hey, Drew, thanks for coming on Front Burner. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Damon. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so I've got to come clean. I mean, I follow football like once a year. I go to my father-in-law's Super Bowl party. I just don't follow football very much.
That's okay.
I have to come
Forgive
clean,
you.
but I do now because I basically, anytime I've been reading about the Super Bowl, lead up to the Super Bowl, I feel like I've been microdosing or maybe like actually macrodosing. Like it's trippy. So I want to get into some of that. So Taylor Swift starts dating Travis Kelce. The conspiracies start right out of the gate. I want to start with kind of like the original, the OG Swift Kelce conspiracy, that their relationship was so mutually beneficial that there were these questions about the whole thing being a marketing ploy, right?
Well, that's how I felt. That was a conspiracy theory that I had because I'm so used to, in America, I mean, I guess this is global, particularly here in America, though. Every time there's a major celebrity story that has some sort of personal interest or angle to it, it always ends up being a brand stunt, right? So like Snoop Dogg, just like a few months ago, was like, I'm giving up smoke. And everyone's like, oh my God, Snoop Dogg's not going to smoke weed anymore. Will he even be Snoop Dogg? And I was like, that's an ad. And of course it was an ad. It was an ad for a stupid smokeless fireplace. And people were like, oh, I've been hacked. I can't believe I was tricked by a man who will do every commercial he is asked to be in ever. I can't believe that.
And would never give up weed. And here we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Who gives up weed? So I thought, okay, Taylor Swift has her version of 1989 coming out, in a few weeks.
For Swifties, that wildest dream has come true. Overnight, peak Taylor-monium as the pop star released her highly anticipated album, 1989, Taylor's Version.
Her Eras documentary comes out. This is back in September, October when they started dating.
Taylor has a lot to celebrate. She has the Midas touch at the moment with her era-defining mega tour, her concert and movie that is smashing box office records.
And the NFL, well, they love nothing more than bringing in younger fans because, God forbid, their old fan base die off. So it was a mutually beneficial thing. And Travis Kelce, of course, got to brag that he was going out with Taylor Swift.
Hey, man,
Did you really have your phone number ready on a friendship bracelet to give to Taylor Swift?
I said what I said, and I meant what I said when I said it.
You shot your shot, huh,
And
man?
you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to
So,
talk
like,
about my personal
everyone won. So it seemed to me like it's the perfect fake relationship. Like I'm so used to there being kayfabe behind everything. They even managed to monetize like the Brooks Koepka Bryson DeChambeau feud into some stupid brand stunt. So I was like, okay, well, they're not real. They probably know each other's names, but that's kind of about it. Like I even bet one of my colleagues $5 that it was a sham. She thought they were gonna get married, and I was like, Taylor Swift ain't getting married. We should get share her $1 billion with somebody. That's not gonna happen.
Well, how do you feel about that now?
I think they're legit because she's not only has she gone to every Chiefs game during the season, but she went to the AFC title game. in Baltimore. You don't go to Baltimore unless you really have to. And then after the game, she went down on the field, she gave him a big old wet sloppy kiss. And I was like, all right, that's above and beyond. She has now,
And the watchers, like the people watching her, like they're parsing body language and eye contact. Being like, no, that's real love eye contact too, right? Like,
Yeah.
But you're picking up on that.
yeah, and I've seen staged kisses, like I saw Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley kiss at the VMA. It's like, I know when I'm being had. And they were like, they seemed genuinely fond of one another, which makes sense because one of them is an attractive football player and the other one is an attractive pop star.
There is something to the NFL benefiting from this, right? Like, I mean, this is legitimately the first, maybe the only Super Bowl game that my 9-year-old daughter will look at the screen, probably. So, I mean, and do you think it's nice that, more people are watching football together?
Yeah, I mean, the NFL essentially is the media industry here in America. So, for them to have a woman who essentially is the definitive pop star and holds sway over the entire music industry, and to be able to bring her into the fold with a league that essentially owns the television industry, well, that behooves everybody. That makes everybody nice and happy. And it's fun for me to watch like little like Reddit threads of Swifties who like don't really understand football and don't even know like what Travis Kelce's job on the field is. Like I was like, oh my God, they hit him so hard. That's not right. I don't like that.
While plenty of people watch the Super Bowl for the football or the commercials, so many good ones, some viewers this year will look to catch a glimpse of a special guest in the stands.
Pop superstar Taylor Swift, whose clout could make this the most watched Super Bowl show ever.
Fans are already placing bets on the couple getting engaged on Sunday.
Shout out to the Kansas City Swifts, as someone should probably rename it.
What was surprising was this really extreme reaction on the far right. And I mean, these are on the far right. So, and that's all this chatter about this kind of deeper level of Swift-Kelce conspiracy about like the NFL being rigged, right? So take me down the rabbit hole. Can you break that down for me?
The root conspiracy theory is that this Super Bowl will be rigged in favor of the Chiefs. The NFL has already decided that the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl in a conspiracy with the Biden administration and the Pentagon, known as a PSYOP, to elevate Taylor Swift's profile even more than it's already been elevated, and then to have her endorse Joe Biden as president in November so that he can beat Trump for the second time and maintain hold of office and prevent Donald Trump, who of course had the election stolen from him in 2020, from ascending his rightful place as emperor of the United States forever and ever.
But you don't really need a conspiracy theory to imagine that the Democrats, might be hoping for a Swift endorsement, right? Like she endorsed Biden in 2020.
Pop superstar Taylor Swift announced her support for Democrat Joe Biden in an interview with V Magazine. Swift said, quote, "I will proudly vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in this year's presidential election. Under their leadership, I believe America has a chance to start the healing process it so desperately needs."
There's always a real point in any conspiracy. Like there's always a little grain of truth in a conspiracy theory, or a good one, right? That's what makes them so juicy, I guess.
Right, because celebrity endorsements are perfectly normal. They're also legal, and Swift endorsed Biden in 2020, as you said. And so it's very funny to try to filter that through a conspiracy sieve and be like, very curious that the Biden administration would want a celebrity to endorse him when a celebrity isn't a politician. Don't you find that curious?
Going back to like Trump, I've been like no end fascinated by how he's responded to her popularity. Can you tell me what he said?
The reports have been that he has groused privately that people are under the impression that Taylor Swift is more popular than he is, and he believes that to be a lie. In Donald Trump's brain, he is the most popular, important, and consequential person who has ever lived. And anyone who says otherwise clearly has some sort of vendetta out against him, and they're treating him very unfairly and very badly, and they must be dealt with very strongly.
Before we move on, I have a more serious question. Like, how can we know that you're not a PSYOPs asset?
Oh my God, you've got me. Demon.
Oh no, but so
my cover's blown. Thank you so much. You,
I'm so well. You know, it's this kind of accountability journalism takes.
I mean, that is the beauty of these things, right? Is that they are so ludicrous and so dumb that you can apply them to any news story, to any person, and you can rope anybody into it that you want, because you can just be like, oh, you think it's dumb, huh? Maybe you were paid off by the Department of Misinformation yourself, buddy.
Well, I mean, I like truly, I think that's what I find interesting. Like, you know, if we go down the rabbit holes that open up in the rabbit hole, there's this whole theory that Taylor Swift is wrapped up with billionaire investor George Soros, right? Like, but you know, and anyone who's been following it knows he's a target for QAnon believers, also anti-Semites. So, tell me about that.
Okay, so that was an OAN hostess who noted that, and she said outright, "Oh well, Taylor Swift is owned by George Soros, and so is her music." Now, George Soros, if you don't know, is a prominent Democratic megadonor and a billionaire, and he stands in essentially for all Republican conspiracy theories because there is a more than anti-Semitic dog whistle every time they bring up the name Soros. It beats saying the Jews just outright. They can just say Soros and have that go out to all the people who will nod and be like, oh yeah, the Soros. We get it, our fellow white dragons. So then there is a grain of truth in that George Soros is affiliated with an outfit called the Carlyle Group that helped Scooter Braun, the talent manager in Hollywood. They helped fund his takeover of Taylor Swift's original song catalog, the one that she is now in the middle of re-recording. But the other thing, of course, is that Taylor Swift is remarkably unhappy about all of this. So much so that she was willing to...
That's why she's re-recording. Yeah.
Yeah, she was willing to redo her entire recording, all of her recordings, so that she would own her masters yet again. So the idea that, you know, that the guy who pissed her off the most is able to order her around and also owns her entirely, that stretches the bounds of credulity, I would say.
And then not the facts really matter here too, but I mean, I was looking into this too, but I think that Shamrock Holdings, which is a private equity firm owned by Roy Disney, has actually bought those rights now too. So I don't think they're even in Scooter Braun or Soros Fund Management, whoever's in, right?
See, it's all connected. It goes to Disney, which supports trans rights. So
Disney, I was going to say, just giving you more fodder.
Yep. It's all connected. We're going to bring it all the way back to the Manson family if we can pull it off.
Well, let me just make another connection here. You brought up trans rights.
Yes.
Travis Kelce has done ads for Bud Light.
Yes, he has.
Bud Light did a promo stretch with Dylan Mulvaney, who's a trans TikTok star.
Yep.
This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it.
And that kind of blew some folks' gasket. I mean, on the extreme far right, and the deep conspiracy-minded folks did not like that.
Kid Rock made his feelings known when he posted this video shooting up cases of Bud Light.
The other thing that Travis Kelce's also done ads for is Pfizer vaccines.
Travis, did you know you can get this season's COVID-19 shot when you get your flu shot?
Two things at once.
Which some folks have not. Like Aaron Rodgers has really been not cool with that. He calls Aaron Rodgers, I should mention, is an anti-vax quarterback. He calls Kelce Mr. Pfizer now.
Our defense played well, and Pat didn't have a crazy game, and Mr. Pfizer, we kind of shut him down a little bit. He didn't have, his crazy impact game.
What a burn. He won't recover.
So yeah, online sportsbooks have a ton of bets about Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. So, the shades of lipstick she'll wear, whether Kelce will propose, whether they'll announce a pregnancy, it goes on and on.
Well, I mean, it's ever since online sportsbooks were essentially legalized here in the United States. They're not legal in every state, but most of them, and those dominoes will fall eventually. Those outfits started off actually losing money, but they found that there was a way to reverse their losses by offering more in-game betting and more complicated bets to people, and particularly parlays where, you make 3 bets at once and all of them have to hit for you to get a larger payoff. And it's essentially, we're going from the sort of the even odds of picking against a spread into more sort of Powerball territory, right? Not quite as distant as Powerball, but so the more of those kinds of bets you can offer, and regardless of how menial and how dumb they are, actually even better if they're menial and dumb.
I know that you are focused on winning your own ring. Do you know there's an actual bet that you guys get married at the Super Bowl? What do you say to that?
These bets are crazy.
And the more different kinds of bets you can offer, particularly when you're able to involve, this icon of entertainment, who is bringing people into football and by that way, sports betting in ways that they would otherwise not have been brought into it. Well, then that's just another opportunity for them to capitalize on basically newbie gamers who are either gambling for fun or suddenly are gambling seriously, but have no idea what they're doing.
Right. It's the gateway bet in some ways.
Yeah. And that's a legit conspiracy.
Yeah.
That actually has teeth to it, but that's not anything that Ted Cruz is going to complain about.
So the halftime show is Usher.
It is.
This guy's getting none of the attention right now.
He's not. But I mean, that's sort of, it's funny because, you'd always think, oh, well, Taylor Swift would be a natural for the Super Bowl halftime show, but she is, I'm pretty sure, the only performer in the world who doesn't need it. She is bigger than the Super Bowl. And so it's a waste of her time when she can pack that exact same stadium for just one of her own concerts. She doesn't need she doesn't need a Super Bowl for any of that. She is the Super Bowl everywhere she goes. And, poor Usher, I kind of want to feel bad for him, but once halftime cuts, first of all, he's going to be the center of the attention. Secondly, if you've ever seen Taylor Swift at an award show, she stands up and cheers for other artists so hard. It's almost like, oh, I don't actually know if she actually likes these people, but she wants to be seen liking these people. So she's going to cheer her ass off for Usher. And again, everyone will win and it'll be great, especially for Joe Biden. Joe Biden, of course, stands to gain the most.
It is going to be super amusing. This is a fun conversation, but there's a real serious point here. When it comes to the conspiracies, we've seen this since 2016, these conspiracies pervading American politics, have grown like crazy.
Yep.
Well, I guess there's a serious question. What does it say about American politics that this kind of thinking is now being applied to football?
It's just another sign of right-wing incoherence here in the United States. And it has grown, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's only grown more incoherent over the past decade. And if you want the real world consequences of it, that is happening right now in Congress, because the Republicans in Congress have stonewalled Democrats at every turn to get, dramatic legislation passed that they like. Democrats gave them a little bit, and they got all this sort of they got all this legislation written up for aid to Israel, aid to the Ukraine, extra border protection, all this stuff. And then Republicans themselves sabotaged that legislation. And right now cannot do anything because they, as a governing party, are utterly incoherent.
You've written that after the Super Bowl, you expect conspiracies to keep forming around different sports, different pop culture figures, leading up to the election. Why do you think that'll happen? And who do you think are the next targets?
I think it's the nature of the beast. These people abhor a vacuum. They're not just going to sit there, Fox News and Newsmax and all these other far right news organizations. They're not going to sit there for a month and not talk about anything. First of all, they need something to talk about. And secondly, they need something to be angry about. Everything is based on grievance and grudges and, hatred.
They don't like facts either very much.
Right. So any anti-fact that they can glom onto, concoct, or, share amongst one another, they're going to do. And that's not going to end just because the Super Bowl is over. So, we'll get into March Madness, and Caitlin Clark, the most, the biggest superstar in college basketball, male or female right now, she'll be dragged into it somehow. When the NBA finals begin, and if LeBron James makes it, well, he was someone who called President Trump a bum on Twitter. And then, when we get to the beginning of the NFL season again in September, and Travis and Taylor are still dating, maybe they're engaged. Well, that's even deeper. Like it's never going to end.
Not that I've needed any excuses to drink at my father-in-law's Super Bowl party, but I'm definitely going to have some drinks on Sunday.
Yeah, you should. I mean, it's a Super Bowl. Live it up.
All right, listen, Drew, that was great. I really appreciate you coming on. It's fun talking to you, and we'll see what happens on Sunday.
My pleasure.
Happy Super Bowl.
You too.
That's all for today. Front Burner was produced this week by Rafferty Baker, Joyta Shagupta, Matt Muse, Dennis Kalnin, Ali Janes, and Derek Vander Wyk. Sound design was by Mackenzie Cameron, Marco Luciano, and Sam McNulty. Music is by Joseph Shabison. Our senior producer is Elaine Chow. Our executive producer is Nick McCabe-Locos, and I'm Damon Fairless. Thanks for listening.